I'd like to call the September 3rd, 2019 town meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. If you have your cell phones with you, please put them on airplane mode, or turn them off, please, or turn them down so we can't hear the ringers. Thank you. Okay. Okay. At the close of the September 3rd meeting, which is tonight, the Emmitsburg Mayor and Board of Commissioners intend to meet in closed session for a purpose of meeting with the town staff to discuss consideration for possible litigation to conflict on a debt. The authority for meeting in the closed session for this purpose is permitted by the general provisions, Article Section 3-305B8, Antidote Code of Maryland, which authorizes us to meet in closed session and consult with the staff, consultants, or the individuals about pending or potential litigation.
You need to take a vote.
Upcoming meetings.
You need to take a vote.
You already want to vote on? Oh, okay, I need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to hold a closed session on potential litigation.
I'll
Need a
second.
second? Motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman, second by Commissioner Ritz. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, upcoming meetings. Board of Appeals meeting is Monday, September 9th at 7:30 p.m. Green Team meeting is Wednesday, September 11th at 10 a.m. at the town office. Write-in election deadlines are Tuesday, September 24th at noon. Tentative Planning Commission meeting is Monday, September 30th at 7:30. Town election day is Tuesday, October the 1st at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Old Town Office on 22nd East Main Street is where you cast your ballots at. The Town Council meeting will be Monday, October 7th at 7:30 p.m. here at the Town Office. Any other meetings or that anybody else has that's not on the agenda? Glenn?
Nope, good.
Okay. Okay, approve of the meeting minutes for August the 5th. Has everybody looked at the meeting minutes?
I have.
Is there any corrections or modifications to the meeting minutes? None?
I had none.
I have none also. I need a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented.
Motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Buckman. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries 5-0. Police report. Good evening.
How's everybody?
Okay.
You?
Thank
Good.
you.
This is the August report. We had no burglaries, 4 noise complaints, 7 suspicious activities, which weren't really suspicious. 0 assaults, 1 assist other police department, 1 theft. It's a minor. I think someone left their car unlocked. 0 juvenile complaints, 0 frauds, 1 alarm call. Assist fire department 3 times, 2 destruction of properties. They were minor. 0 disorderly conducts, 1 trespassing, and 25 911 hangups. We opened 5 talks cards, 16 walk-in patrols, 43 patrol checks, 2 bike patrols. Conducted 110 stops, 50 citations were issued, 124 warnings, 0 SEROs, which is repair orders, We had one complaint. Parking complaints, we had 3. Parking citations issued 0. Selective enforcements were 3. And we had 6 collisions. We had acres reports. We had 3 traffic arrests. Criminal arrests is going to show 0. What I can tell you is I know for a fact that there were arrests that could have been made, but we deferred charges for right now pending investigations. So those will reflect in later months. I 100% can guarantee you it wasn't that we weren't working. It was just that at the time it was best just to let the process kind of play out. So we had 0 juvenile problems that would result in referrals, 0 warrants, but warrants will be coming here in the future. 0 criminal summons, curfew violation 0, municipal violation 0, and pending charges right now they're not pending. Pending investigations closing. We had National Night Out, which went well, and Ben met with the Mount staff regarding the students, which has gone pretty smoothly so far. We had White House Assistant, Maryland State Police, Thurmont PD with calls outside of Emmitsburg. He had 4 court days, 2 days of leave, SRO training, met with the Mount staff in reference to students residing in town. I had 4 court days, assistant patrol with calls outside of Emmitsburg. I took 11 days leave, and we attended National Night Out. We had 3 emergency evaluations, which they've been going up. We had 1 DOA, 1 crash at Seton and Lincoln Avenue. There was a hit and run. Multiple drug investigations are ongoing, but they will be closing out here real soon. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Any questions for the?
I just have one question. The crash at Seton and Lincoln Avenue, was that due to someone not turning right like they're supposed to?
No, it was someone that was under the influence of alcohol that sideswiped another car,
Okay.
but tracked him down really fast and made an arrest on that.
Thank you.
We got another question? Mr. O'Donnell?
The one dead on arrival, is that related to an auto accident, drug overdose?
That was I believe, a CPR, like an elderly person. This one wasn't. We haven't had any overdoses except the month prior.
Okay,
I
thank you.
believe so.
No, that was my sister-in-law. She passed away from a heart attack.
I'm sorry.
And I appreciate the officer at White House was on duty, and he was the first one on scene and the last one to leave the scene after everybody else was gone. The officers, our sheriff department really kept everybody in control, and the whole situation was handled very well. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have anything?
Good.
Good. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, we had town planners report.
Good evening. This is the town manager's report for July. I'll highlight some of the key areas related to streets. Staff conducted their monthly street sweeping. They also repaired and replaced some street lights, as well as pulled weeds and weed killed in the Silo Hill median strip. Related to parks, they conducted their daily park checks, conducted monthly maintenance checks, mowed, trimmed, and weed killed throughout the parks, including Silo Hill and the dog park. We repaired a leak at the pool splash pad, and staff assisted the contractor with finishing the storm drain project there in Community Park near the Memorial Garden. Related to water, Rainbow Lake is still at its spillway level of 16.6 feet. During the month of July, the lake water degraded severely, and all wells were brought on to compensate for that. Right now, the blue-green algae is at its highest point in many years. This is a problem that's occurring statewide due to rising temperatures and rising temperatures of your water. However, we're still meeting our quota, lake quota. We try to get at least 50% of our water from our lake. We produced an average of 288,624 gallons per day and consumed an average of 255,942. The difference is about 17.5%, which is backwash water. In July, we purchased 438,550 gallons from the Mount. Related to wastewater, we received approximately 7.25 inches of rain in the month of July. I do have a correction. We have a surplus, not a deficit of rain. We're at 9.9 inches over the last 6 months and a surplus. For wastewater, again, we treated about 1,089,000 gallons, and we consumed approximately 255,942 gallons per day, which means that 76.5% of the wastewater was wild water in the month of July. We received an enormous amount of rain in a short period of time. We had no spills of untreated sewage in the month of July. However, we did exceed the plant's design capacity 6 times. Trash pickup will remain Mondays in the month of September. As you'll see below that, there's some highlighted meetings that I had in the month of July. Just a few noteworthy items. Staff repaired 4 water leaks, 2 on Tract Road, 1 on DePaul Street, and 1 on Waynesboro Pike. All our water and sewer staff received their temporary DE5 licenses for the water treatment plant that was required by MDE. And just as another note, the line in the tunnel between FEMA and Provincial House came apart one day, and it was a major leak, about 700 gallons per minute for about an hour and a half, until it was shut off and FEMA made the appropriate repairs. I do have just 2 notes. I have an email that I'll just read from State Highway regarding the bridge project. Also, to let you know, they will be in attendance at the Monday, October 7th town meeting to provide an update. I reached out to them because staff had been hearing that the contractor had pulled off, work had slowed. So I reached out to find out what the status was. They were on site on Friday of last week, early in the morning, installing a handrail along the bridge. However, they've requested some plan revisions pertaining to erosion and sediment control, which State Highway is currently reviewing for approval. They mentioned that they are trying to stay on top of the contractor and keep them on schedule as the revisions are evaluated and solutions were come up with. And then finally, related to hunting and trails, beginning September 5th, 2019, it's the last day for 7-day trail use. Trails will be open on Sundays only from September 6th till May 21st of 2020. 7-day trail use will restart on May 22nd of 2020. September 6th is the first day of hunting season. With town permit, hunters are authorized to hunt every day except Sundays through May 21st, 2020. And that's all I have for the manager's report.
I have a
Go ahead, Commissioner Buckland.
A lot of people in town are wondering, well, when is that rudder's going to start being built? When is it supposed to be finished? Do you have anything?
The mayor will provide, I gave him all the information. He'll provide it during his mayor's comments. He has all the
Okay.
information.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else have any
Yes, sir.
questions? Commissioner Ritz?
I have one regarding the hunting. I remember last year, I believe we placed it a year moratorium on hunting and on the Scott Road Farm
Right.
property.
Right.
When does that expire?
I'd have to go back through the minutes and see when, what the date that was approved. I don't know when it expires.
Okay.
We may look to bring it back to the board, and I thank you for bringing that up because I actually forgot about that. So I'll look back at the minutes and see when that was approved, and then have discussions with staff and then bring it forth to you to decide if we want to continue it.
Thank you.
I think it was later in the year. I'm thinking October, November.
Sounds right. I just made me think of it regarding hunting season coming up. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm good. Thank you.
Glenn, you have a question? I do have 2. The 700 gallons per minute for an hour and a half, did they pay for that water?
They will,
Okay, I was just wondering, are they paying for the water
will.
that we lost?
because it went through as long as it went through the meter, which was my understanding it did.
Okay, so he was able to keep track of it. I was wondering
Right.
how you got the 700 gallons per minute.
Right.
And did we have to use, since the blue algae is so bad, we didn't have to use chemicals, or is our Snoopy house working?
Yeah, the LG Sonic is working. It's just unfortunately the blue-green is just blooming rapidly this year, and as you've read on or seen on the news, it's a problem that's occurring in a lot of the natural waters in the state of Maryland. What we've had to do, and why there's been more backwash waters, we have to increase the amount of backwash we're using, how many times we have to run it through the roughing filters to get it through the system. But as far as I know, in talking to Dan, we have not had to increase our chemical use by anything significant.
They just have to adjust the waves.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that we were monitoring and adjusting waves.
Yes,
so
they
why-
do. We have a company, he does that.
Yeah.
Right.
We're watching. I just wanted to make
But
sure.
even with that, we still have
It's
a
just an
problem?
enormous amount this year. It's doing its best. So we're seeing a lot better lake quality than we would be seeing without it. In July, we received a lot of rain in that short period of time, which then also stirs up your waters and makes the system more difficult to clean it up before you send it out
It's
too.
cloudy.
Yes.
I talked to Dan a little bit this summer, and he said that the equipment that we bought for the lake to take care of the algae has paid for itself
Yes.
now, and it's now we're saving a lot of money from it. So each year, so at least $10,000 to $15,000 a year.
Right, you save $10,000 a year right off the top because you're not using your Green Clean Pro in the lake, and that's about $10,000 each year. Plus, we've seen a reduction in the amount of water that's using to backwash overall. We're seeing less chemicals being used on top of the Green Clean Pro. So, yes, it's made, I think, the system work a lot better. We made it like 3/4 of the way through the summer without experiencing any problems.
That's good. All righty, thank you. That's all the questions I have. Anybody else? Town planners report. Do we have one of those?
Yeah, I'll highlight some of the areas on the planner's report. Zach wanted me to highlight related grants. He completed the Frederick County Art Council's nomination for a public art project application in order to receive grant funding and technical assistance in the future. We were awarded that grant. My understanding is through a poll that was done earlier this year that we're looking to do a mural on the pool house. Related to MS4, he assisted GPI with researching information for the baseline impervious assessment project and continued to work on the MS4 permit yearly report, which I believe is due at the end of October. Related permits, he processed the following zoning applications: 3 decks, 2 fences, 1 shed, 1 pergola, 1 change of use, 3 signs, and 1 driveway expansion, and 3 cross-connection permits. Related and miscellaneous, he continued working on the 140 South Seton subdivision project with myself and the mayor. Myself, Becky Wilson, and the town planner met regarding the required forest conservation ordinance updates that we're going to be mandated to do. He started creating a map of areas within the town boundary for future tree plantings per the forest conservation state law, new state law. Processed a request with First Energy for the installation of streetlights from Dollar General to Jubilee. And we're working on, or he's working on creating 500 new property folders. And then on the second page, related to meetings, he attended the Frederick Arts Council meeting on 7/25, where we were awarded the grant.
Thank you. Any questions,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
I realize this is the planner's report and not yours, so a clarification item. Under permits, you had stated 11 cross-connection permits, and what we show is, sorry, you had mentioned 3, and what my document is showing is 11,
11 cross-connection permits?
Correct.
Yes.
and that's correct?
Yes,
Okay,
11.
all right, maybe I misheard you. Good, okay. At the bottom of miscellaneous, under item 4, the bottom bullet point on page 10 of 24, created 500 new property folders. What is a new property folder?
So basically what we're doing, or what, because the records, unfortunately, historical records for the agency, the town, you've got a lot of handwritten notes, you've got things in all kinds of different files. If you got a permit here, you had something related to zoning here, or you had other things, what we're trying to do is kind of keep everything related to the address. So if you sold your home, we know, hey, you got that permit for that deck, or you got,
Okay, great.
different things, so we can track it a lot easier.
That sounds, that's a great thing that he's doing. That's good. Next item, and again, this is very specific. I'm on page 11 of 24. And for the purpose of clarification, the meeting with Mr. Gauss and town manager at 140, related to 140 South Seton Avenue. Is that the,
Subdivision,
okay,
subdividing the property.
okay.
Yes.
And that's just the nature of that one?
Yes.
Terrific. Okay. And that's it. That's all I have, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Rich, have a question?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner
Tim got it. Thank you.
Buckman? Glenn, you have any questions? Okay. I don't have any either. Alrighty, on to commissioner comments. Commissioner O'Donnell.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hats off to staff and the elected to my right. National Night Out was a good success, a great success. A lot of people were very positive about it. I had two interesting pieces of feedback related to the farmers market from some folks in town and pool parties. Some of the folks talking about the farmers market said it's hard for them on a Friday night to use the farmers market, and they're hoping that maybe it could move to a weekend day. I got the same feedback about the pool parties, which was kind of a surprise, where some parents are coming in from longer distances or working later hours, and as a result, they're hoping that maybe a pool party could be offered on a weekend. And I know we had done it in the past on Saturdays, but I don't know if they were aware of it. So some requests about that. I had some feedback related to the sign ordinance. The bulk of folks with whom I spoke were very much in favor of the changes related to the sign ordinance. I think they understood the top-down nature of it, that we're trying to get aligned with federal law as well as, other municipal pieces. But the other piece was a concern that I have related to the sign ordinance that I would like to bring back at a later time, relates to the appeal process. It's not actually the ordinances themselves, but the method by which a person who didn't have a permit in the past does not have the opportunity to appeal a change. And I'm thinking that's something that we might want to give consideration to. And again, I'll bring that back to the board at a future time. Another issue relates to the traffic safety barrels on Main Street. They seem to be a target of all sorts of things. This past weekend, I rearranged 6 barrels. I was told they were attacked by a university student from a Jubilee staffer. Don't know if that's true or not, but it was curious. The other piece is Sunday morning I was out there and barrels in other places were thrown around or knocked around, so I reset those. And then at the end of the day, more barrels than the 2 events combined before were kicked around or hit around or whatever. So my worry is if we have fewer events where the bridge work is occurring and those barrels don't get attended to, and I know it's not town staff responsibility, I know that fully. My worry is that in the late of night, someone might make the wrong turn and end up in one of those Jersey barriers head on, if that hasn't happened already. So just if we can be mindful of that, I'm not quite sure how we're going to handle that, but perhaps a conversation with State Highway again saying, please monitor your traffic barrels. Let's see, what was the other piece? Sunday morning, I was up on the trails early. I'd gotten a report from somebody who'd said that there was glass in one of the trails. They'd cleaned much of it up. I found some residual glass up there. And I also found about 20 people through the course of the hour using the trails. One group was a group of 5 hikers, and their first question to me was, what's a good place to eat in town? So I was pretty happy about that. Moving from there, I want to thank, finally, staff. Mr. Sweeney, I think you were one of the recruits in my absence. It's rare that I miss my duties in town, but I had 2 weeks where I was unable to sign the checks. I understand that you stepped in at least one of those times, so thank you. And I don't know who the other party is who did it, but thank you very much for helping out and facilitating that. I was actually able to be out of town with family, which was probably the first time in 10 years we've been able to do this kind of a thing. So it's much appreciated that we were able to get away. So that's that. And thus I end my comments for a change.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Rich.
We had a Parks and Rec meeting on August 20th. Just a few highlights from that. Highlights. The committee was asking about the pool, like as we all were, 2018 versus 2019. Town staff will be getting together a report of how we did last year compared to this year.
I actually have it right now if you'd like it.
She has it now.
Sure.
I can't take credit for it. Miss Nail put it all together. Just real quick, 2018 total attendance. This does not include your pool season pass holders. 2018, the total attendance was 8,404 persons for 86 days, and we averaged approximately $97.72 per day. In 2019, the total attendance was 9,911 persons for 88 days, and we averaged $112.63 per day, making the generated some income to put towards the pool management contract. In 2018, we had about 21,000, and in 2019, we had approximately 28,000. We saw an increase of about $7,258 by
Nice.
just an increase of 2 days. That's significantly higher than 2014, 15, and 16 before the renovations occurred, where we were only averaging about 5,300 people for 65 days.
That's good news.
We'll have more detailed information that we can make sure we send to you prior to your meeting.
That's great. Thank you.
I do have a little. How
Go
many
ahead.
days were the pool open this year? 85?
88.
88 days. I do have a little bit to add to the pool before we move on.
Go ahead.
As you know, we opened the concession stand up this year again. The concession stand we was open 35 days out of the 88 for 3 to 4 hour periods during the day. My wife and I and Diane and Warbecker, she helped me at the end here. We made $2,700 in those 35 days, and the cost of the food was $1,130. So we made almost $1,400, I believe, close to it. I haven't got a final count, but I will have it for then. But
Thank
if
you.
it can be
That's-
opened up
that's good.
by somebody that wants to run it, I don't know if I can run it next year. The only reason why it was open so much this year is because I was working at night and was able to open it up during the daytime. But we do need an organization that really wants to run it. By my calculations that I got, out of the 35 days, I made an average of $75 a day in a 3 to 4 hour period from 1 o'clock to 5. You don't have to stay open the whole 7 hours. The pool is open.
And you have to be 16 years or older
Right.
to run it.
And you can run it, and approximately $2,500 was lost in those other days that I could not be open. So, I could have made $2,500 more for the Lions Club, which all goes to the Heritage Days. The money that we raise at the concession stand all goes to the community day we have here in town. But if anybody's interested in the organization, wants to run it, you have to be, I'd say, over 18 to run it.
Okay.
Or was it
Try-
18?
Yeah.
Instead of 16.
Yeah.
It should be, if you're 16, you should have an adult with you.
Yeah.
18, you can run it on your own.
But it runs pretty good, and I don't know if the Lions Club will be able to do it next year, but everything is there. It's all ready for next year. You do not have to buy anything but food, and health inspector will check it. It should pass again for next year. So I appreciate everybody's help and all the money that was raised this year. It goes to good cause. Also, I talked to a lot of the people who came to the pool since I was there a lot this year. There's a lot of people from out of town, a lot. You wouldn't believe the people from Frederick to come up here to use the pool. There is preschools and primary schools and all kinds of schools that have pools in Frederick, but they want to come here because it's cleaner. They like the atmosphere. They love it's quiet. And they love the lifeguards and stuff we had here. The lifeguards this year were very, very good. They had a good staff this year. And I was there most of the time, at least half of the time. But we do get a lot of out of town. There's a lot of people from Fairfield, Tonytown, Gettysburg. There's a lot of people who use our pool. It's not from town. And they pay the out of town price also. So our pool is making money, and when the word gets out as it goes on, we should get a lot more people. That's all I have. Joe, you have any other questions? That was on the pool.
No, I'm glad I started with the pool. Thank you. Follow up on something you brought up at our meeting. Commissioner Sweeney visited the Parks and Rec meeting, and he was asking specifically about the 2 small concrete pads that are behind the bandstand. Town staff will be looking at possible grant application to put 2 small pavilions similar to what's in Memorial Park with the one picnic table. So hopefully that will be in the future. And speaking of Memorial Park, at one of our town concerts, I was actually speaking with former Commissioner Malloy regarding ADA compliant access to that park, and town staff did inform me that grant request was submitted for the paving of Memorial Park for ADA access. And I meant to ask Ms. Willits, I do apologize, is part of that paving then the removal of one of those logs to the playground area? Like, they're not they're like logs, but it's a border to keep the mulch in.
Posts, yeah.
Would that involve removal of at least one of those to have like a graded
I would think so.
access? That was specifically the question that started
Oh,
her
okay.
inquiry off.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's included in there as well.
Great, thank you. So that's it for our Parks and Rec summary. Christine and the Road King was a success on Friday, thanks to all who came. 5.5 men cannot reschedule this year. They're interested in performing at the 2020 Community Heritage Day, though, so I gave their info to the chair of that committee. National Night Out, again, like Commissioner O'Donnell said, fantastic event. Thanks to everybody who coordinated that. And the Back to School event, annually held by Christ Community Church. Thank you to Pastor John. It's a pleasure being there again. That's all I have. Thank you.
Just to remind people why we're wearing purple, because it's all of Maryland is doing an opioid awareness where the community is unifying to stand up against the stigma that's associated, that keeps a lot of addicts from seeking recovery services because of the shame associated with it. So to stand up and to love the addict, not the addiction, and that we're all united against that. So a lot of people in town are adorning their bushes with purple and their trees with purple and their lights and purple, and so that's what we're doing here. And then a comment, I've been hearing, this is a subject, Kathy, that some time ago the committees used to have more, I don't like the word power, and more influence. And somehow, maybe a previous town manager changed the town code, making it so that, I think before the committees had a budget and they were responsible for their budget, and it became that the committees were less influential or something to that effect. People have been making lots of comments to me about that. And I was wondering if we could look back at that, if anyone recollects how it maybe used to be. I would like to understand what happened with that.
We can look back and see the last time an ordinance was changed to that section, but I don't think that there's been any changes to, you're speaking specifically of the Parks and Recs Committee and the Citizens Advisory
Yes.
Committee. I can't imagine they have their own budget. I don't see how that
Been here a long time. Do you
would be
recall?
feasible.
When I first started, we had a committee for every single thing: water, sewer, streets,
Yep.
Yeah.
roads.
Okay.
Each commissioner had their own spot, and we tried to control that spot. But I don't know if it was in the 90s that we had passed something about that we couldn't tell staff what to do anymore. Directly, we had to go through the town manager.
Okay.
We couldn't just go up and say, "Hey, you have to do this, 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 and this."
Oh, I see.
We had to go through the town manager, and then she would or he would delegate what you would want to done.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I know that we
Well,
had
town manager
changed.
has been very responsive to anything that's in the notes, so I just didn't understand what that was. People keep mentioning it to me.
Yeah, I mean, all I can do is look back, and I think Commissioner O'Donnell has some input, but all I can do is go back and look at the code to see what, if there were any ordinance or code changes, but I'm not familiar with any of that.
I've heard similar concerns among folks about understanding the committees, and there's sort of an ebb and flow in participation. And like what Mr. Sweeney referenced is we went from many, many, many committees that ultimately weren't being
Used.
fleshed out. Yeah, there weren't people who were volunteering, for whatever reasons. And we consolidated the committees. I don't recall committees necessarily having budgets. The other piece that came up was there seemed to be a conflict of interest regarding chain of command. The legislative branch, we, the board, that's kind of our role to work through the ordinances and to, advise and to have a vision. The mayor's role is that of the one who is the executive and therefore manages the day-to-day operations of the town, typically through the town manager. And there were conflicts of direction among staff where they were being given conflicting directions from a commissioner, from the manager, and from the mayor. So to clarify the issue, the chain of command was made crystal clear. I'll say it that way. And shortly after that, or within a reasonable time frame after that, there was a consolidation of committees. We had fewer committees, again, not to allow fewer people to have a voice in town actions, but rather to have fewer committees that we might see more people volunteer to serve. And I think we're really seeing that to a degree, where people are now seeing the town government more responsive, and therefore they want to be more involved because they feel their voices are being listened to. I mean, that's the impression I've been given, because I've had people asking about committees and what they do and how to get involved. So hopefully it either reflects that we're doing our jobs well or we're not doing our jobs well. I like to think the former rather than the latter. So, but the budget thing, that may have been pre-90.
Yeah, it was before me.
Yeah, that's from a good while ago. But if there's something specific they want to have, maybe they can ask you, like, specifically what they're interested in seeing specifically.
Just
and that would be good.
murmurings, and I was just
Okay.
curious. But you gave me the historical references, so I think that's good enough.
I can give you a little bit more if you'd like.
No, it's okay, because I don't
But
want to be here till
I'll give
11.
I'll give you an example. Of me. I probably why they changed it, but the
Blame Cliff.
Pavilion?
the pavilion was put up.
Oh,
Why I was at MML and I did that. The pavilion's over here in the community park, and the mayor and all the other commissioners were gone, and I was the only one here. And Bollingers wanted to put it up within 4th of July week, and I told them to go ahead and do it. And they had it up before everybody got back, and I got
hand slapped.
I got more than slapped. But I won't go in there, and that's past, and that was in the 90s. But that's why they changed it, so we have a chain of command, and it wasn't, I thought that since I was the only one here, I was the only one that's in command, but
Thanks, Cliff. Thanks.
They're nice pavilions, though.
Great.
but it got done, and that's why they did, and it should go through. It is conflicting. If you go through, the mayor tells one thing, and it should all go through the town manager, and that's why we had changed it in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Commissioner Blanchard.
Just a couple things. Month of August was pretty busy. Again, the last pool party, great time. Appreciate all the other commissioners' help. Mayor coming out for that. We had the National Night Out, huge success. That was like one of the biggest events I think I've seen in town in quite a while, so that was pretty cool. Conscience Park, kudos to Commissioner Ritz, who organizing those, trying to get people out for them. I've been in that position before. I know it's difficult to try to get people to come out on Friday night sometimes to watch these concerts. That was really nice. Obviously, back to school, starting with today. Be safe early in the morning. Every day, we're pretty much going to be losing some minutes when it comes to getting more and more dark. Kids sitting outside on the bus stops, etc. Please watch when it comes to crosswalks. Let's see. Oh, great season, I thought, in the pool. I really did like the company that operated this year. I thought they did a really good job keeping it clean. Kudos to the staff. Of course, I do have a bias. My daughter was one of the lifeguards this summer, so I really appreciate her work and efforts there. But anyway, she gave me sort of the 411 on a daily basis, what was happening, and she really liked working with the staff. Thought the manager was doing a good job. Again, they were pretty steady on keeping it clean and everything else. And of course, at the beginning of October on the 1st, there's an election with the two of us on the board running for re-election. So hope we have some participation in that. Democracy, there's 4 people running for office. So get out there and vote. So, all right.
Thanks. I do have a couple things. I was too at National Night Out. I didn't make the one last year, but this one, this year that I made and helped serve hot dogs out was well attended. It was. I managed to go down through the whole thing eventually and see everything, and everybody was here, had a good time. I mean, the children did, and the parents also, with everything that went on, and I'm glad the town staff did a wonderful job with everything that went on that day. So thanks to them for putting it on. Without you guys, it wouldn't happen. So also, I helped Pastor John and my wife with back to school, which went really well too. Was well attended for the back to school that the Pastor John had tell about, and then also the pools. Also, I think the pool did really the staff at the pool. I can't tell you was very well run. They were very courteous and kind. They didn't have too many problems at the pool this year. The pool, I think the pool, this was the best year I've seen in a couple of years, even when it was the old pool.
Good.
So I can't get any worse than it is now. It can only get better.
Right.
So hopefully it'll grow and grow and grow and grow. That's all I have. Alrighty. Anybody else before I go on to Mayor? Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Just chiming in with the National Night Out, I want to thank Sheriff Jenkins. He answered our request for the big boy, the National Night Out 2.0, and he delivered, and we had over 500 people. It's a wonderful event for the community, and just tons of hours put in by the staff. And I want to thank all the vendors who were there. We have a representative here from the Mount St. Mary's tonight. I want to thank them for joining in there and being there. And so we had over 30 vendors there, to, all kinds of things, ice cream and needs, opioid needs, just kind of across the board. The pool party spectacular. We had one of those, our third in August, and 100. I think it was 155. I know Amy's around here somewhere, probably knows that, but that was a spectacular night out. We're really blessed with terrific weather, cool, sunny, and that really helped this year. But we are picking up a lot of groups. Last year we started with one, and the word got out that maybe the YMCA started coming up here from all throughout the county and even down as far as Urbana, bringing groups up here during the day, and that helps support paying for the pool. And excuse me, and that's really important. Let's see, we have Emmitsburg Thurmont Community
Show.
this week, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to be the flag bearer? Are you going to be, John? Glenn will be our flag bearer. And a great weekend. I think it's like the 63rd, is that right? 63rd? It's a big number.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful tribute to our community of northern Frederick County. And everybody's there, from the university to county commissioner, everybody, excuse me for that. Fallen Firefighters Memorial Weekend is October 5th and 6th. That brings 6,000 people here. It'll be celebrated here at the campus, in town. If inclement weather, it'll be over at the Mount. Something new that Friday night on the 4th, the William Cochran glass etching volunteers, it's called Volunteers, will be unveiled and lit. Excuse me, I'm so sorry about that. And that'll be Friday night, and county executive will be up for that, and it'll be a very special thing to have a William Cochran work up here like he has down in the Carroll Creek. Let's see, Purple Lights, along with the shirts, you can buy Purple Lights here for $5 if you want. We sell them here at the counter. And anything else you'd like me to say about that, Maddie? Is that good? I apologize. Excuse me. The EBPA has the Reagan years here in September. Please check their website, and I think we'll have something up on ours, or if we already haven't already. But that's a big event. It's something kind of falls in line with National Night Out and this spring event that Vigilant Hose here. We have community events that bring people here to our town. Looking across the agenda, we had, like I mentioned, the pool party. Met with President Tim Traynor, and Wayne Green, Chief of Staff, August 12th, and then with Roger Wilson, the Frederick County Director of Government Affairs and Public Policy. I met with him in Frederick this month, and had another meeting. I went to the State of the Mount. That was a terrific event, and where they rolled out some really interesting projects that they're looking at, and they're coming to fruition. A lot of hard work and student, all kinds of things going on over there. Town Clerk Matty Shaw and I met with our Wayside Exhibit professional team, and we're gearing up for 2020. Vigilant Hose, Chronicle Press Building, let's see, the Carriage House Inn, and the Great Fire, the Great Fire of Emmitsburg in 1863. They're going to be our next Wayside exhibits we'll be adding. Let me just see if I got something else. Again, congratulations to all the candidates who are running for office. The 2 seats are be coming up this October, and I think that. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you all want to hear a little bit about Rudders. Rudders, their improvement plan should be submitted by September 27th, and we hope to have it. So we'll have it on the October 28th Planning Commission meeting. This is the final plan that needs Planning Commission approval. Dunkin' Donuts, that will be any day. We're waiting for their site plan, and we need a traffic study to go with that. Gets a little complicated right there at McDonald's, the Exxon, and with Dunkin' Donuts coming in there. So we've requested they provide a traffic study, and all this should be coming together.
Where will the Dunkin' Donuts go?
It's going to be where the car wash is.
Car wash.
Car wash.
Next to the car wash.
No,
Car wash. is
Car wash is gone?
car wash is gone.
Oh.
It's kind of a different thing. Has this gone out, Kathy, already up?
Yes.
It's already out there. We've asked the public through our social media, what would you say are the top 5 issues in Emmitsburg? We have sustainability, snow removal, parking, town pool, residential development, town events, walkability, multi-use trails, streets, traffic, water and sewer, parks, recreation, commercial development, and other. Then it just asked them a generic question about if they are a resident of the town. But we put this out there to see if we can get some feedback from.
What's the goal of the
Just to raise their hand. They just say,
climate of the town and how they feel about
Yeah.
different things?
yeah, just if you got something, you can add. There's another category there. Just start off the year. We're going here. Congratulations to our staff planner, Zach, and other members of the staff too worked on this. But we got a kudos to the Bay Trust and Emmitsburg, Maryland, for advancing the Rain Barrel project. If Congress approves the dedicated funds for green infrastructure, we can really scale up these efforts and prevent sewage overflows and runoff pollution. We received a $5,000 grant for our Rain Barrel program, and they are taking deposits today. There are at least one person I saw the other day, but this is a kudo from the Frederick News Post. And again, that staff is really knocking it out of the park on things all the time. They really do a lot of good work. So, I think that's it. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for the mayor?
I have just a few.
Commissioner Ritz?
I'll keep it quick.
Okay.
The glass etching,
Right.
when is that again? I missed the
Oh,
date.
it's going to be October 4th, Friday night, 7:30, and it'll be right out here they've already started construction out here.
It's right in front of
Oh, I've seen that.
Okay.
And it's a William Cochran work, and he did that Trompe l'oeil. Is that right? What they call the bridge, the community bridge, Trompe l'oeil? Commissioner O'Donnell, you had French 101, didn't you? No.
Many years ago.
Okay, all right. But that beautiful bridge down at you see down at Carroll Creek that looks
I know what you're
painted
talking about.
stones. It looks like real stones there. We're going to have one of his works up here, and it's just another addition. It complements everything we think about
But
the
it's glass.
fire service.
It's
everything.
glass. It's not painted.
No, it's a glass etching. here. And this.
Thank you.
was
I missed the date. I just want to make sure
Okay.
I had that
So
right.
You
Question.
all are invited. You're going to be invited.
Thank you. Question regarding rudders. You mentioned October 28th at the planning meeting. That's the final planning meeting regarding the rudders.
No, yes, they're expecting, we're expecting the improvement plan by September 27th and to be available for the October 28th Planning Commission meeting.
And is that the final planning meeting then?
That's
Yes.
it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's a water and sewer improvement plan. So basically, it's simply the improvement plan for the utilities and the infrastructure
Has
related
nothing
to
to do with-
water and sewer and their pump station that will eventually go to the planning
Right.
commission. And that's the final thing that the planning commission has to approve.
And so we have no idea that date it's supposed to be built or anything like that yet. That will come.
Correct.
October
They're
28th.
estimating groundbreaking in 2020, early 2020.
Right, that's in
It
your,
depends on permitting.
that was here. I didn't
Oh, that
read
was there?
I didn't read it.
Okay.
A little suspenseful. But it's been a great year, and it's been fun working with everybody. It's been really terrific. I think we,
Mr. Ritz,
all oars in the water.
got another
Made a good year.
question?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
That's
you there.
it,
Just
Joe.
one more question. No, the wayside. We got the 4 wayside signs
Right.
for 2020. Are we doing any more after that? Okay.
Yeah.
We still
One-
have John Armstrong on the books?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the next one, and there may be something on the railroad we're going around with, but we'll
Okay.
seek your input.
Thank you.
But the Armstrong is definitely on there, but no, the multi-use trails are not on there. They haven't been around long.
Daughters of Charity,
Thank,
maybe.
that's all right. Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney, may I ask a question?
Commissioner O'Donnell, yes.
Mr. Mayor, for clarification of the process related to rudders,
Okay,
the September 27th item that's going to be presented to the town,
no.
is that the infrastructure plan, or is that the aesthetic of the facility?
This is the improvement plan. Will be, we hope to receive it by September 27th to have available for the October 28th
Okay.
meeting.
It's for the utilities.
Okay.
And I think
Great.
that,
Sewer and water, correct?
right.
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Right. Good additions, good commercial additions. to the-
Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner.
Don't forget your purple lights. You get them right here, red hot.
Glenn, do you have any?
I'm good.
I'm good too. Now we're into public
Thank you.
comment. Yeah, public comment, okay. Jack Waller, is that how it's pronounced? Yeah. You want to wait till the firewood proposal comes, or you want to speak now?
No, Farwood.
Do you want to speak when the firewood thing comes up? Okay. Denny Ebal? You're speaking on 3 different things? Sidewalk,
Possibly if I have time.
okay, it's sidewalk and it's a backflow preventer?
Yep.
And town receptions? Okay, I couldn't hardly read it.
Yes, town, just, town etiquette, some of that.
Okay. When you come, just give your name and your address.
Absolutely. My name is Dennis Ebal. I reside at 39 Federal Avenue, 45-year resident. I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of myself as a resident, as a parishioner of St. Joseph's Church, and in my professional position as a facility manager for St. Joseph's Church. First topic I'd like to discuss is, first of all, I get nervous at these type things. As always, when I come before you, and it's not that often, I want to thank you all for doing what you do, okay? I mean that too. And most of you know me. I've never met Kathy, but I appreciate all that you guys do, okay? Now, on the backflow, I'm frustrated. On the backflow preventer thing, and I know you've had meetings on it. I would just like to tell you that there are people that watch out in the community. I'm one of them. I watch a lot of the meetings, town meetings. So I'm going to try to be courteous here tonight. This isn't even on my public comment, but I would just say, and there's nothing you folks can hardly do about it, but the bridge update, that's not acceptable, folks. But I know it's a state-run project, but that is not acceptable, and I want the community to know that I feel that way. For your information, there's a bridge put in down in North Carolina across the Oregon Inlet, the largest inlet on the east coast of the United States. It was started the same time as this bridge was here in town. It's complete, and they're removing the old bridge. It's about 4 miles long. So just keep that in mind. So that's all I had to say on that.
I
Now,
think we all share your frustration.
and I know that, but I'm just sharing. I would like to state mainly here about the backflow preventer thing, ordinance, whatever you call it. I did go online and I printed off the low hazard and the high hazard sheet that the town has on their website. What I read is that it is not you all's doings, but it is state of Maryland mandate. I'd like to see a copy of the mandate, and I think every citizen in Emmitsburg should have a copy of that, where it states that should be done. Secondly, I used one of the contracted plumbers to come up to the church to provide me with, if I need, do I need low impact, do I need high impact backflow preventers on the church, on the parish hall, and on the rectory. I truthfully got a run around here at the town because I was hoping somebody from the town could come out and see what we have. I'm not a registered plumber, but, and I say I'm gonna run out of time already, but I think it's a really an important thing here. The way this is set up, it's not set up right. There's too much mixed information going out. The plumber came and said, I don't even know why they're doing this. You have a 10-year plan for household, a 10-year that I have to come back. Now I'm speaking for my household. I'm speaking about a couple different hats. My household, the way I understand it, I have to get somebody to come in now within the next 5 years. If I have it done in the next 2 years, it's $162 unless they run into problems. Then $172 if I do it in the following 2 years, and $180 the fifth year, or fourth and fifth year. With a free permit. Great, it's gonna cost me $161 for something I could do myself, but I can't because I'm not a registered plumber. Okay? Then in 10 years, I have to get a new permit. Why isn't the cost of the permit in there? Is there going to be a cost in 10 years, will there be a cost for the permit? My understanding is, folks, there's a $15 fee for that. Times how many households in Emmitsburg? And why 10 years? I'm told right now by the plumber that those residential backflow preventers cannot be tested. They cannot be tested. Frederick County told me today they don't test them anyhow. Now they go by what the manufacturer of the device says is the time to replace them. Most plumbers recommend throwing them away every 2 to 3 years. So that's going to cost me $15 every time I reapply for a permit, and $161 if I do it within the next two. Well, if it wears out in 2 years, I'm going to have to pay another $172. This is going to run a lot of money for the people here in town. And really, I don't need you folks spending my money. Hell, I don't have any as it is. Okay? Why wasn't that clear in here? You only have part of the information in here. And then the other part, and I'll end up, I won't even go into the sidewalk topic. It's a goose chase trying to get this information, folks. I shouldn't be having to call the town chief inspector, the city chief inspector. I shouldn't be told by Zach to see Dan Fizzle. I see Dan Fizzle on the run. He says, see the plumber that the town has contracted. I call back here for one other question, and I basically get in an argument with Zach, and he hangs up on me. That's no way to run this town. We don't do that. This is a small town. Mm-hmm. And I'm really frustrated. Just going to mention one little piece about the sidewalk. I've talked with Tim. I may have talked with Joe. I think I've talked with Don Briggs, and I met with you. Someone could get killed on the corner of DePaul Street and North Seton Avenue if you're handicapped, going to the VFW or the American Legion, the VFW, anywhere you park up on that DePaul Street, to get on the sidewalk to go down North Seton Avenue on the east side, you have got to go out in the street with a wheelchair. I think the town, they have enough money to make that right again after the state come in and raise that sidewalk that you can't get a wheelchair up on. And I'm just stating for myself, and it's been brought to my attention, most all you people are Catholics and St. Joe's Christians. We don't have thousands of dollars right at this time to lay out for a wheelchair ramp straightened out. So it needs to be addressed. Do it, please, before someone gets hurt or killed. That's all I'm saying. And I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty, that's the last one for the public comment. We're going,
Can I add to the ADA ramps? Zach is working on a grant and went out and surveyed the entire town of where there needs to be ADA ramps. So staff is working on that.
Is that one of the
Obviously, it's a very expensive project to install ADA ramps throughout the entire town, but it is grant funding we're working on getting. So that is a project that we are undertaking.
so they're working on that, but I understand what because I was just at a funeral for my sister-in-law, and I had to take my 93-year-old mother-in-law out into the street and bring her in, you know.
But just a reminder that North Seton Avenue is a state highway road, and they can dictate what we can and cannot do related to curbs and things of that nature. So it is a project that we are looking at.
How about the Paul Street sign? Can we put it on that sign?
I have to look at it again. I know we've had discussions with
That belongs to us, right?
Jimmy. So
Agreed.
The Paul Street sign, so we can.
yeah, I'm
do it.
gonna look. Yeah, I'll look at it with Jimmy. We've talked about it before.
All right, Commissioner Buckman.
I'm risking feeling like I might sound stupid here, but with the backflow preventer, I must have missed that every 10 years we have to get it inspected again?
Every 10 years, and yes, residential does low hazard, and all of his are low hazard. And if I recall correctly, there isn't a permit fee after 10 years, but I have to go back and look at it. I haven't read it since it passed. I don't believe there's a fee in 10 years, so
Can we make sure it's written in that there's no fee in 10 years?
we'll have to look. And if it requires a change, it has to come back to the board.
Okay, okay.
Any other questions? Alrighty, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Oh. I can find it.
Page 14.
Mine will switch to cross. Here we go.
Admin.
Administration. Admin. Appointment to 2 members to the Sustainable Community Board. For consideration. Commissioner Buckman.
That would be the mayor. No,
That's the
this is something
Okay.
different.
Okay. At this time, I'm just proposing Sharon Hain. She's also an election judge. She
Okay.
served on the town at various times, and she's agreed to serve. The other person couldn't give me an answer at this time, so I'm going back to find another person.
So we have one.
So we have one.
So we
This is
need,
this is your board that reviews all your community legacy grants.
Okay.
Your sustainable community board, they're the ones that review your community legacy grant applications before they're submitted to the state.
so who's on the board now?
We have Keith Sardak and what's the lady's name? I'm sorry, I don't have it right. That's why we're.
I'm drawing a blank. We're down to 2. Somebody resigned, and obviously 2 if you have a tie.
John Howard was on it. He's-
So do we need a motion for Sharon?
Yes.
I make a motion to accept Sharon Hain as a new member of the Sustainable Community Board.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell, second by Commissioner Buckman. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries.
I have a question regarding this. If I don't know anybody, but if somebody were interested in being on this board, they could also serve on another committee like Parks and Rec.
We could,
It's not like Parks and Rec committee member can't be on Citizens Advisory Committee.
unless
No.
it's you.
You're correct.
Oh, okay.
Just call me if you have somebody in mind there.
I don't, but I just want to make sure that.
Sure. No,
So
no.
any of these green team or the sustainable board, the separate boards not written into the town code could serve on multiple.
It's not a commission.
You might want to check that. I know I know one person can serve on 2 commissions, but I don't know if they can serve on more than 2.
But it's not
I thought we had
commission.
something.
It's not a
It's
commission.
committee.
A committee, well,
No, I was told you can't even serve on, you can only serve on one committee. Like, you can't be on planning and parks.
I think
can't-
we should review that, because I remember there being an issue at an earlier time related to that.
we look at that?
So,
You can't be on the planning commission and serve on the Board of Appeals because there is a direct conflict.
Well, that makes sense.
However, you could serve on Parks and Rec and Citizens Advisory.
We were told we couldn't do that.
I believe, I'll go back and look at the minutes, but I'm pretty sure we were told that it was discretionary. But as far as the Sustainable Board, anybody can serve on the Sustainable Board.
I believe it was too, because we had problems with getting volunteers, and
correct.
and that's why we had them serve on multiple boards, committee boards, not commissions.
I can understand that, as long as there wasn't a conflict of interest. I totally understand planning and Board of Appeals would be a no-no, but, okay.
Yeah, because we did, we can talk about it later, but I'm pretty sure we said that, I thought you had somebody that was serving on both, that we said it was okay. But I'll look back, but I don't see a problem with it.
No, it was the opposite. You
Okay.
can only be on one.
Okay.
That'd be
Alrighty.
great, yeah, if we can look at that.
Any other questions? Okay. We have consent agenda. We have one item for that.
So the Bernard Franklin of the Mount would like to begin his 2-year term on the Citizens Advisory Committee. And for a long time, I've been looking for someone from the Mount to be on the Citizens Advisory Committee. So we need to vote on that, right?
Correct. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bernard Franklin to the Citizens Advisory Committee for a 2-year term beginning September 3rd, 2019 through September 3rd, 2021.
Second,
Motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz, second by Commissioner O'Donnell. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Motion carries 5-0.
I also, due to school and conflicts of events, the McKinneys, Mr. and Mrs. McKinney would like to resign from the Citizens Advisory Committee. They don't have the time to come to those meetings.
Alrighty. Next on the agenda, treasurer report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. As of August 1st, 2019, we have a cash balance of $5,486,315. Deposits were in the amount of $540,508. Withdrawals in the amount of $326,692, and our operating balance forward at this time is $5,700,131. The following top 10 checks are here, and if you have questions, I ask you to direct them to town staff.
I do have one. If no one else does.
Go ahead.
I just need to know, by just look at it, I don't have a question about the pool management services. Is this the last one to get paid, or they have one more
Or
installment?
they go through October.
And they close the pool too, is that correct?
No, they'll close it, but then it's winterized by the pool contractor that essentially built the pool.
Okay. That's all I had.
So today was the last day of the pool, or?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Alrighty. Any other questions? Alrighty. We don't need a motion to accept the treasury report, no. Planning Commission report.
We did not meet last month. However, we are meeting later this month. As stated on the future meetings, we are scheduled to meet on Monday, September 30th. That's what's happening later this month.
I thought we're meeting on October 28th.
I'm talking
They're
about
having
planning
a meeting in
commission.
September, right?
What's that?
I think, the
They
mayor
have a
had
planning
said,
commission meeting September 30th.
yeah, but I thought he just said they weren't,
There's a tentative meeting for September, and
Pretty
then
sure
there's
Zach
another
sent me-
one
Tentative,
scheduled for
yeah.
October.
okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
alrighty,
I'm pretty sure Zach sent me an email asking if I was available, and I said yeah. So
okay. Tentative, alrighty. Tentative for September 30th, and you will be having one in October.
Mhm.
Alrighty, we're on to the agenda items. approval of the street and paving contractors for the town
Yes.
staff.
Each year with the budget, the board elects to set aside $65,000 a year for paving. And each year, your Director of Public Works, through the year, surveys the streets and develops a plan of which streets. He has, I believe, a 5 to 10 year plan for paving the streets throughout town. And for fiscal year, I guess this is 20 now, we came up with 8 streets that are in need of paving in this fiscal year. So we put out a bid for these 8 streets. We put a RFP on the town's website on May 6th. The bids were due on June 28th. We had an initial bid opening meeting with staff on July 10th, and then a final meeting to review recommendations on, myself and the Director of Public Works met on July 12th. The total amount needed to complete the entire paving project as is $90,941. We currently have in our Fund 2 paving budget $174,509 with the transfers that occurred with the approval of the fiscal year 20 budget. It was posted for advertising. It was posted on our website, our Facebook page, the MML Classifieds, as well as the Frederick News Post. Before I jump to town staff recommendation, we received bids from CJ Miller LLC, American Asphalt Paving Company LLC, ECM Corporation, and Frederick County Paving. On page 17, you'll see the 8 streets that are listed with a breakdown of cost. We're looking to pave Chesapeake Avenue, East Main Street to East Lincoln, Chesapeake Avenue, Potomac Street to Potomac Avenue, Waggerman Lane, Bunker Hill Drive, Creamery Way, St. Joseph's Lane, Seton Place to North Seton Avenue, West Lincoln Avenue at Jamison Avenue intersection, and West Lincoln Avenue at the Patterson intersection. And you see by the charts, each company's bid broken out by the proposed streets and locations. CJ Miller LLC did not bid on number 7 and number 8. Below, you'll see the total bid if we were to award it as a package. However, consultation with Director of Public Works and looking at the bids across the board, we decided to divide the streets up and award them to different contractors based off their bid price. So if you flip back to page 16, what town staff recommends is awarding to the ECM Corporation, number 1, Chesapeake Avenue, number 2, or Chesapeake Avenue, East Main Street to East Lincoln, number 2, Chesapeake Avenue, Potomac Street to Potomac Avenue, number 4, Bunker Hill Drive, and number 6, St. Joseph's Lane, Seton Place and North Seton Avenue, with the award, or the total amount for them would be $45,085. Number 5, Creamery Way, award that bid to CJ Miller LLC for $37,956. And number 7 and number 8, West Lincoln Avenue at the Jamison Avenue intersection and the Patterson Avenue intersection for a total of $7,900. Bringing the total amount for paving for FY 2020 of $90,941. And we're looking to begin work as soon as the bids are approved.
Mr.
Do,
Sweeney?
do you need to take these, give me 1 moment, please.
Sorry.
Do we need to take these all separately, or do you want to take them all as one bid package of 90,000?
package?
I would say individually per corporate or company, excuse me.
Okay, so let me get this correct. CJ Miller is Creamery Way number 5.
All right,
American Asphalt has none.
correct.
ECM has 1, 2, 4, and 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And yeah, oh,
It's all here.
I just make sure. And then the Federal County has the last 2, 7 and 8.
Correct.
Okay. So, I need a motion.
Mr. Sweeney, before we
Yeah.
make a motion, may I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Too.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So to understand the nature of the paving process, we're going to be grinding off the surface and replacing it with new pavement, or sort of using the local vernacular, are we just going with oil and chips?
It's grinding.
pull the
It's
bid.
grinding. I think it's grinding 1.5 to 2 inches off. I'm pretty sure. I asked Mr.
Okay, all
Click
right,
that,
I'm
and he
looking at
said
our
it's a
bid here.
grinding.
So grinding and removal
Yeah, you
and,
can't put tar and chip because it has to be grinded off because we're losing the top surface.
correct. That's what I want to make sure that's what we're doing. We're not shortcutting on this. That's the thing.
And
Right,
I
it's about-
imagine,
yeah.
and I imagine if any of the bases need replaced,
correct.
they'll put them in too if it's, has to be
Right.
cut out.
It's basically doing, if I just browse this one bid real quick, looks like scope of works based on 2-inch mill and overlay with broom sweeping, cones, barricades, traffic control, replacing traffic markings in kind, seed and straw, any disturbed areas.
Okay, the milling is what I was wondering about. So
Yes.
thank you. That answers that.
And we will break out these events not happening all at the same time, because I think the bridge is sending the town over the edge.
Well, most of these, if you look at these aren't main thoroughways anyway.
Okay.
So we probably will do them in groups. It's quicker. Some
think-
of these are small intersections. Obviously Creamery Way being a larger project, we will plan that one out.
Because of the school.
Right.
So I need a motion to accept. There's any more questions before we make a motion?
Yes,
Commissioner
I
Ricks?
guess that was my one question. Then having multiple contractors at the same time, well, we can't anticipate the future, but would it speed up the process? I was hoping that some of these could run concurrently. One question regarding Chesapeake Avenue, number 2. It looks like we went with the lowest contractor on all of these except for number 2. Is it safe to assume that was for continuity?
Yes. And if you looked, one thing we looked at was, if you took just low bid across the board, that's 98,150. By dividing it out, we're saving,
8,000.
about $8,000.
I mean, are there any benefits to choosing one company who can do a comprehensive package for us other than it costs $8,000 more?
This was their package.
No, but I mean, by piecemealing it rather than choosing one vendor.
I guess I don't understand. I'm sorry.
We're saving $8,000.
Right.
That's a
correct.
good thing. What else are we benefiting from it?
Getting different contractors. We like to spread the work out. We used one of those contractors exclusively for a while, and it's giving other vendors an opportunity to do work here to see, it gives us a chance to evaluate their work as well. And you may get it done quicker if you can spread the work out through different schedules also.
That's a bonus.
If you have multiple companies, you're going to save some
We've,
time.
we thought this was a good opportunity, one, to save some money and to get this many streets done, which we normally can't get done through one vendor as well.
And I'm picturing the town here, all the locations. So there's nothing, just to ensure that there's nothing with these streets that would prohibit. I'm just going to pick one. This would probably be a bad example, but I'll just say number 1. So number 1's being worked on, and then number 6. I'm just throwing numbers out there. I'm not even thinking where they're located, but we can ensure that there are no locations that if work's being done at one location, it's not going to prohibit it being worked on another.
I think I understand you. And I feel fairly confident that Jimmy Click will make sure that, and knowing him as meticulous as he is, he's going to make sure that the roads stay open as much as possible and we get the work done as quickly as possible. He's very thorough in the work that he does. So I feel confident that it's going to go smoothly, and we'll try to keep it the schedule that works best for everybody, if I understood you correctly.
So yes, yeah, and there. I was just thinking logistics too, but really, there's nothing. The projects themselves, they don't. What's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, conflict. So if something's being worked on, it doesn't interfere with another one. Another vendor doesn't rely on another vendor getting their part done. That was
Right, correct.
That was
No,
my
these,
main.
looking at these, I don't think they don't have a bearing on each other, other than maybe your two intersections, and that's partly why they were awarded to the same contractor.
Without your explanation this evening, so thank you. When we see it in the package, it's like a big red flag. It's like why we have so many vendors. It
Right.
just seems to be more convoluted, room for error. But with the explanation, then, and ultimately saving time, because yeah, the bridge project on 140 terrible, and saving money. So if we can save time and save money, then I feel comfortable with this. Thank you.
Commissioner
You're
Buckley?
welcome.
Have we done our due diligence to see how these contractors' reputations are, how they respond to problems or complaints?
We've worked with all of them except for the C.J. Miller, and Mr. Click was confident in their abilities from other municipalities. So I don't have a reason to believe otherwise at this point.
Mr. Sweeney, may
Yes.
I ask a question?
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Would it be possible to have notices placed on the streets as soon as possible advising them that paving will be occurring?
Oh, yes.
With dates? I know we don't put stuff up in tree wells for private citizens, but if we could as a town government, I think that would do a lot toward advising people of they're going to be, the routine will be upset. And I think we've seen, people very sensitive to other issues in town, i.e. bridge. But is that possible for town
Well,
staff to get that done?
typically what they do is post yellow notices either on doors to move or on vehicles when paving's, because you got to move your car nine
Right,
times
right,
out
right.
of 10, not always. And then we get notices out.
In the newsletter also?
We don't have, right, the email newsletter and our newsletter is included in your water and sewer bill.
But you're saying we're trying to get this done as soon as possible, and I'm hoping we can give people at least
Well, I don't
7
expect it that fast.
okay. But 7 days out, do you think we'll have that much time to advise folks, or?
I don't even think we're going to get it done that fast.
Okay,
I think,
all right.
the goal is to get it done before it gets too cold. We
Correct,
can't do
okay.
it anymore, and as their schedules fill up. So
So,
we may be able to get some done this fall before winter, and some might have to unfortunately wait till spring. But, if we can get them all done, and as soon as we get the notice, we do our due diligence and
Sure,
try
sure.
to notify people. Unfortunately, you can't always get everybody.
Sure. But just so it's, my hope is that it can be posted on the streets so people see it as well as get their, their door flyers and whatnot. Because I know that more information in a case like this is better than less information.
Absolutely.
I think we're sort of in we want to give great evidence of,
Transparency.
no, this is great evidence of customer service.
Yeah.
Yep, we can do our best. Yep.
Thank you. That's appreciated.
How long are valid are these quotes for? In the event that cold weather sets in and they can't be completed this calendar year.
Most of the time, let me see which one, if this says how long. A lot of them vary. This one's 12 months.
Okay.
That's just the one CJ Miller one. I would gather they're all about 12 months.
Okay. 12 months.
Any other questions?
Looks like this one's 12 months also.
No, sir.
Mr. Buckley?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, Glenn, you have any? I don't have any. Most likely, it's going to be a little bit inconvenience, but it'll only be down 2 inches. So if they don't get the blacktop back, they might mill it one day and then blacktop it the next. So hopefully the milling machine doesn't take very long, because I've dealt with it before myself. So it only takes a couple hours to mill it all off.
I'm just thinking, we're dealing with some narrow streets like Bunker Hill.
But the town's gonna have to probably make some repairs on there's a lot of boxes and valve boxes and
Substrate.
stuff's gonna have to be raised and that are sunken and waterhouse connection boxes that I've seen on some of the streets that are down in the dip, so they'll have to be raised up before they blacktop the road. I imagine Jimmy and them will have to do that
Right.
ahead of time. I need a motion.
I make a motion to accept the street paving contractors as presented by town staff, with ECM Corporation doing project 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, CJ Miller Limited Liability Corporation doing project 5, and Frederick County Paving doing projects 7 and 8, for a total sum of $90,941.
I need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, sir.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Donald, second by Commissioner Blanchard. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I think you wanted all separate, but
Firewood.
agenda item number 2, approval of the firewood access policy. Kathy?
Yes, I'm just waiting for them to, just put a map up.
You doing? What doing, Kathy?
Well, thank you.
I will note, can you notice a
Mr.
nice quiet projector?
I thought so. I was like, wait a minute. It's
We
different.
have a brand new projector now
Oh,
that
nice.
should not overheat.
Oh, and it's brighter.
Uh-huh.
Slick.
We don't have to turn the lights off.
I like it.
All right, so at the request of the board, staff looked into a firewood access policy that would allow people to obtain some firewood from the watershed area. So what Zach did and what I did, we kind of did some research on other places that might have something similar, which they're far and few between because of a lot of the liability concerns and the inability to kind of manage it. But what we did is we got input from Mike Kay with the Forest Service as well as Frederick City. Frederick City does have a policy in place for personal use firewood. And then we contacted John Clapp to find out the best way to go about doing it. And John Clapp suggested a resolution that would then adopt your policy. John Clapp wrote the resolution, which is on page 18 of 24. It's basically a resolution to adopt the policies and procedures for the issuance of permits to residents of the town of Emmitsburg to enter and use portions of town property in its watershed to remove certain trees and plant material. It basically the area that borders Hampton Valley Road. Basically, it's whereas the town of Emmitsburg Municipal Forest and Watershed, also known as the watershed, is a 987-acre forest that protects the town's water supply, and whereas the town desires to protect the watershed and manage the fuel loads therein, and whereas in order to serve that purpose, the town desires to offer to residents of the town of Emmitsburg the opportunity to enter the watershed and use a limited area watershed bordering Hampton Valley Road for purpose of cutting and removal of downed trees and plant material when needed for the health and well-being of the watershed. And whereas in order to implement this program, the town intends to adopt a set of policies and procedures to govern the entry and use of the watershed by residents for the town, or for this purpose, excuse me. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Emmitsburg that the Town of Emmitsburg personal use firewood policy and procedure, which is attached to this resolution, and goes on to talk about adopting the resolution. On page 20 of 24 is the actual personal use firewood policy. Again, we've got input from Frederick City and Mike Kay. Policies and procedures, the bullet point, basically permits to enter the town watershed and to cut and remove down trees and plant material are available and may be obtained at the town office. Only one permit per household will be issued. However, 2 identical permits will be issued so that one can be displayed on the permittee's vehicle and one will be carried on their person. Applicant must present proof that the applicant is a resident of the town of Emmitsburg. Permits are not transferable and must be renewed each calendar year. There is no cost for the permit. Again, the permit must be displayed on the windshield of the vehicle and carried on the person at all times while cutting firewood. The wood shall only be cut and gathered from June 1st to August 31st, gathered for personal use, and shall not be sold or used for commercial purposes. A permittee may only remove downed wood on town property within 100 feet of Hampton Valley Road. The town will provide a map of the designated area. Live or standing dead trees may not be cut, girdled, or damaged in any way. So this is, it's a little hard to see here. So this is Hampton Valley Road. Where's my pointer at? Right there. This is Hampton Valley Road that runs up through the watershed. This is Rainbow Lake here. So this red shaded area would be where someone would be permitted to cut firewood. Let me see. Where's the other slide? Why can't I get it? Is there only one there? It won't skip for me. Can you get my other one? There you go. This is probably easier to see.
Dark side of the moon.
There it is. So again, Hampton Valley Road, Rainbow Lake, 100 feet in either direction on Hampton Valley Road. This is not town property here. This is not, you don't have 100 feet because that's where Rainbow Lake is. This is private property. This is private property. This is Fitzgerald's Road that comes through there. And then again, there is the 100 feet. So that's the area that would only be permitted off of Hampton Valley Road. Continuing with the policy, any tree with an orange mark shall be left intact and may not be removed from the site. All brush and other debris which the permittee causes to be deposited, placed, or left on roadways, ditch lines, and streams shall be removed by the permittee and moved back at least 50 feet from the ditch line of all public roadways. All litter must be removed. Off-road equipment or vehicles may not be used to remove firewood. All firewood may only be removed by hand, cart, or wheelbarrow. And it goes into the verbiage by applying for and accepting a permit. The permittee and one acting under that permit acknowledges that they enter and use the watershed to cut and remove firewood at their own risk. The permittee, and then under the permit, releases the town of Emmitsburg, its officers, officials, employees, and agents from any liability, claims, or causes of action for personal injury, death, or property damage